Nityanandam. Let's start with a Sadguru Vandanam. Nityanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrusham Tattvamasya Adilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavaditam Triguna Rahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Okay, so today maybe a little longer video. Let's see how it goes. There's two projects actually. One is Jeevan Mutki Grantha and the other is the Samipya Mukti project. Two projects. So yesterday I started the Samipya Mukti project and I wanted to share some clicks as well and have my SAKSHI PRAMANA shared with you. But first let's start with connecting with Swamiji, chanting the Mahavakya 3 times, seeing what numbers are revealed today for me. And then I will go into the next part, okay? So before I end with that, I'll probably do a little shorter reading, but I'm excited about what I've actually, what I've discovered in the past 24 hours since I recorded a video and what clicks have happened. And I've got some things I want to share. I was really excited last night with the kind of things that started to reveal themselves to me. So, okay, let's start with the chanting Mahavakya 3 times, which is Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. $64 and 4. 1. 64 and 41. Okay, so I will just make a note of that because I tend to sometimes forget. 64, 41. Okay. So what I'm going to do is read those excerpts first. So let's go to 64. And then in between Jeevan Mukti Grantha project and the Samipya Mukti project, I will share my clicks. I'm very excited about that. Okay, so 64. What does 64 have to say? 64. Transcend time, be in the present. If you observe your thoughts carefully, you will understand 2 things. One is what we talked about earlier about thoughts being unconnected. And all you need to do is to sit down and write down the thoughts that arise in your mind for 10 minutes. You will realize that there is very little connection between your thoughts. They seem to jump from one to another. The second point you will notice is your thoughts are always about your past or your future. You can only think about what happened in the past or what will happen in the future. Your thoughts of the past are usually regrets about what you did, not do, or guilt about what you did. Thoughts of the future are about what you wish to do. Please understand, neither the past nor the future is real. The past is dead and gone. Most often, we do not even learn from the past. All we try to do is use our past to steer the future. It is like driving a car looking only at the rear view mirror. You know for sure where you will end up. So I'm going to keep the reading short. There's obviously a lot more here, but it's interesting actually that this has come up for me today because when I was actually doing the Samipya Mukti project, I found I kept asking, how do I be in the present, and this is clearly show transcend time, be in the present. Now there's actually an image here that you can see about the time shaft, and it shows, I'll just put it clearly here so you can see. Okay, so it shows the thoughts where the present moment is. So right at the bottom where there are 0 thoughts per second, that is where the present moment is. So you can see the timeline, you see the past, present and future at the bottom, and then the higher the thoughts per second, obviously the more you are moving from past, present, past, present, past, present. The moving is happening a lot more. So And the more we get down to 0 thoughts per second, the more we are in the present. And then what was the other one? I think it was 41, wasn't it? Okay, 41. So going back, what is 41? Have to share with what does 41 have for me to learn? Okay, so the big problem is that you become so used to your inner software that you end up like an island that is cut off from the fragrance of the mainland. You're cut off from the fragrance of existence because of your worries. You miss the miracles of existence that are continuously happening around you. You forget to appreciate and remember only to complain. You forget laughter and remember only anxiety. You forget bliss and remember only stress. Remembering these negative things become a mere habit. So this bit here is from page 41, and it's from the segment of there is nothing to worry. So it's interesting again, actually, because now what I'm going to share, this clicks for me because my whole the experience of Samipya Mukti. So I'll move from Jeevan Mutki Grantha to Samipya Mukti. And for those of you who don't know what is Samipya Mukti, there's different types of Mukti. Mukti means liberation. Jeevan Mukti. Jeevan means life. Mukti means liberation. So living enlightenment is that's what the Grantha has also called in English. And Samipya is another level, if you like, is my understanding at the moment of liberation. Mukti's liberation. So Samipya Mukti means you will get to live just next to him, and him means Swamiji, Guru, and also Paramashiva without any identity. Okay, so it's interesting how this is all coming together. What I've just read about the big problem is that you become so used to your inner software, okay? And I was working on my inner software, that you end up like an island that is cut off from the fragrance of the mainland. Now, I do little sketches in my book. So you can see, I'm just going to read through this and this image here, okay? And then I have, okay, there's some bits that are a little personal stuff, but anyway, never mind. Then this image here, okay? You probably will be able to read or not read. Anyway, I'm going to share what I got. So I was we were in a session yesterday. So first let me go back right to the Samipya Mukti project. I read it. I came across this because I had somebody share it on my WhatsApp. So I went and I read. Then I decided I'm actually going to sit and be in oneness. Be in oneness with Swamiji. So I put the Mahavakya on. Part of the project is have the Mahavakya reverberating in our inner space, and visualizing myself with 25 heads, 50 hands, and 75 eyes, which is the visual of Paramashiva, me being Paramashiva, of Paramashiva himself. So I put the Mahavakya on. And I decided I'm just going to sit here and visualize and let whatever happens happen. So I sat, and I was able to sit for 15 minutes in a very intense space. I had no expectations because I didn't even look up the meaning of Samipya Mukti. Actually, I didn't look it up. I just decided, okay, I'm going to take the steps and I'm going to do it. So I sat for 15 minutes. I decided to look at the time to see this is the start time. And then so when I open my eyes, I will know what the end time was. So that's how I decided to time myself. I visualized myself. And the more I visualized myself as Paramashiva with 25 heads, 50 hands, and 75 eyes, I wasn't necessarily able to do it very perfectly, or it's like, oh yeah, I just know the experience was very intense because I felt myself being pulled up into really much more lighter space. Okay, so that's what happened. So I recorded my Jeevan Mukti project and I uploaded it. Then I decided to do this Samipya Mukti. And then actually what happened is that through the day I had some questions. And then I attended a session, which is the Guaranteed Solutions, book reading and Ramayana session that we do in the evenings in UK. And we were reading the guaranteed solutions, and it was about Anya Chakra, third eye, the third eye, the Anya Chakra, which gets blocked by seriousness and ego, which is identity. And I had some questions about identity. Anyway, the main click I got was that self that Swamiji is saying self means being, means Paramashiva, not self as in the identity that I identify with. My question was actually, to begin with, so what do some people identify themselves with that they hate so much? It was like, why there's so much hatred and why so much violence and anger towards something, a person or an object or a place or whatever. Then the whole thing led to me clicking with, wait a minute. So when Swamiji is speaking about SDHD, self-doubt, self-hatred and self-denial, so if I replace the word self, and not even replace, understand it better, what it means is self would be super consciousness. And if you see, I remember Swamiji speaking about self-doubt, self-hatred, self-denial in the context of Mahabharata and the characters from Mahabharata. Okay, so the Purana that we have in Vedic civilization of Mahabharata. Okay, so self, super consciousness. Okay, so that's what I put here in my thing. You can see self, super consciousness. And so if you think of a self, which is super consciousness, doubt of super consciousness or doubt of self. So doubting Krishna, doubting Swamiji, doubting myself as being Paramashiva, myself as having the super conscious aspect of me, doubting that part of me. That is represented by Dhritarashtra, who was born blind. Okay. Then self-hatred, hatred of Krishna, hatred of Swamiji, hatred of Paramashiva, hatred of myself as Paramashiva. Okay, so the hatred directed towards myself as well. That aspect is, the character in Mahabharata is Shakuni. And then the self, super consciousness, which you say Paramashiva, denial, self-denial. Okay, then denial of Krishna, denial of Swamiji, denial of myself as Paramashiva. That is represented by the character Duryodhana, and the way he behaved, how he behaved with Krishna. He just completely denied the existence of Krishna and who Krishna was, who Bhagavan Krishna was. Okay, so now I realize that the people who hate on super consciousness, who have a hate campaign going on, they are actually reflecting back to me the hatred that I would also have inside of me. So that would need completion. Then I started to think, okay, I think in terms of completion. So where do I need to go? What is the issue? Where do I need to complete? Then I remembered again powerful cognitions from Bhagavan, from Swamiji, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nityananda Paramashivaham, that self-doubt is the seed, self-hatred is the tree, and the fruit is self-denial. So, of course, if I go right to the seed, then all I need to do is complete with self-doubt. And only when there is self-doubt, when there is doubt about consciousness, doubt about superconsciousness, the existence of superconsciousness itself, that doubt can be exploited by someone like Shakuni, and that can then change into, of course, me also beginning to doubt more, hate more, and then in the end ultimately deny the existence of Paramashiva. That's one thing. Okay, so then that led me to have a click, and I was like, self-denial. Hang on a minute. Self-denial of superconsciousness, denial of existence of superconsciousness. Now, when we are worshipping just the mind and body, when all of our infrastructure is only mind and body related, well, of course, there will be fear and greed that happens more and more because there's absence in that structure of superconsciousness, or the, basically us saying, yeah, well, super consciousness exists, then it got me. This is why I'm excited, because so many things started to make sense from doing this project. So then it brought me to, but wait a minute. So SDHD is a pattern that I have. Swamiji says all humanity is suffering from it. Then it got me thinking more. Then I thought, wait, Swamiji in the Secrets of Karma webinar has said that when you complete with one thought current, you will find that you are faced with your family's root pattern, your society's root pattern, your country's root pattern, the global root pattern, all beings' root pattern, and then the whole universal cosmic root pattern. Well, this is it. I realized actually doubting myself as Paramashiva, doubting myself as super consciousness itself is where the problem begins. So when an entire infrastructure, so the Vedic civilization, the infrastructure, everything built was from the acceptance that I am Paramashiva, I am super consciousness, having a experience on planet Earth. It isn't taking that, minusing that out, removing that, and then building infrastructures. So any civilizations that have been created, even the current one that we are living in, is built with many are built, majority of them are built with absence of removing that component, denying that component, from denial of that component instead of acceptance of and celebration of that component. And then I couldn't sleep last night. I have to tell you, I was so excited. Then it got me thinking more and more and more. And I was like, well, Vedic civilization is a celebration, in a simple way, celebration of super consciousness and myself as super consciousness. Simple. So all rituals, everything, every bit of, whether it is bhakti, devotion based, whether it is jnana based, whether it is yoga based, everything is for me to experience myself as super consciousness. And it's important because humanity needs to have a super conscious breakthrough. When we are minusing that part, we are violent. We create only from greed and fear, and that is just going to perpetuate more and more violence. The other way around, it's going to perpetuate more and more non-violence. Anyway, then I went on to, because identity, remember identity, then it comes back to identity. So interesting. Thoughts per second and all of that. Anyway, the gap between images. So Swamiji has shared with us about the genesis of identity. Okay, so there's an inner image, there's an outer image, there is life image and others image. Okay, so then how does self-doubt, self-hatred and self-denial stay perpetuated? Now, inner image is what I believe about myself. Okay, outer image is what I project to the world. So a polished self, where inside if I'm feeling I'm not good enough, outside I'm projecting as I'm perfect, like that. Okay, so that would be an example of inner image and outer image. And then there is others image, meaning what others perceive about you, what you believe about me, what you perceive about me, what you experience about me, right? Or whatever you've decided to have as an opinion or a judgment about me. That. Then there is life. I am responsible for that as well. I am responsible for others' image of me. I can't just say, well, that's their opinion, I don't care. It doesn't work like that. I am responsible for that. Then there's life image, as in what I feel about life, what ideas and notions I have about life, what I have in my head about life. Life is dangerous, example. Okay, now, why am I telling you about this? Identity is, the genesis of identity is these four aspects. Inner image, outer image, others image, and life image. Okay, now, the gap between inner image and outer image is self-doubt. The gap between inner image and outer image is self-doubt. The gap between outer image, what I'm projecting to the world and what people are perceiving about me, that gap is self-hatred. I'm not able to convince you that I am a particular way. The image that I'm showing you, I'm not able to convince you, and that gap is what creates self-hatred. Then others' image, the gap between others' image and life image is self-denial. Okay, so what others are feeling about me, what others are perceiving about me, and what I feel about life, that gap is what is self-denial. Now the ideal identity, which is what, and now I'm going to come to the next bit, the next most important part. Okay, so the ideal identity, the ideal that we want to identify ourselves with is Paramashiva, which is I am super consciousness. Okay, the inner image is that, outer image is that, others image is that, and life image is that. So everybody around me is Paramashiva, and that's how Swamiji sees it. Guru, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Nityananda Paramashivam, Sri Nityananda Paramashivam, is actually established in this I am Paramashiva. When he says I, he refers to himself as super consciousness, supreme consciousness. I am Paramashiva. Okay. Now, the attacks, the hatred, and all of this propaganda that they've created with Swamiji, Bhagavan's always mentioned one thing. People were not able to convince him he is the image that they're portraying of him, because he is established and he is Paramashiva. And that's why Paramashivoham, the program. Paramashivoham level 3 is going on at the moment, and it's going to be continuing. I haven't said all of these things with this in mind, but this actually, look, I put as 10th, can you see? On the 10th of March, it says, that's why Paramashivoham. I didn't do this video now with this in mind. This is what I wrote. This is the clicks that I got. Okay, so this has been a long video. It's 22 minutes, probably going on to 23 minutes long. I'm trusting you have the patience to listen to it. I'm excited to share. Please do let me know your comments. Did you get clicks? And if you got clicks, I'm really keen to get more clicks from your clicks. So please share in the comments, ask questions, because now I feel very excited. And today I actually did Samipya Mukti project again for a few minutes. I was able to do it for 10 minutes today. And I felt spontaneous Kundalini experience. I usually levitate when I have Kundalini experience. And that's exactly what started to happen to me. My body started to move with a lot of intensity. So that's about it for Jeevan Mukti and Samipya Mukti experiences, clicks and expansion that's happening. I am extremely grateful to my beloved Guru, my Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nityananda Paramashivaham. I'm extremely grateful, and inviting everybody to download Jeevan Mukti Grantha book for themselves. I usually share it in the links. And of course, share about Samipya Mukti as well. These are my SAKSHI Pramana. This is my individual experiences that I'm sharing. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for engaging, for sharing, etc. Thank you. We'll end with the Purna Mantra now. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavate Shri Nityananda Paramashiva Padukarpanamastu. Om Nithyanandam. Thank you.